What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of 90 Day Fiancé The Other Way, Season 7, Episode 7, Deja Vu. This was definitely a filler episode. Not much happened, and it really pissed me off. Let's talk about Patia and Dylan. So when we see Patia, she is packing up for her big move to Australia. She tells us that her biggest concern is that his mom, Dylan's mom, lives so close to him, which is like right down the street, which is better than Greta because Greta's future mother-in-law lives right down the hall. So Patia, that's a whole lot better than how other people have it. So Patia says that the biggest thorn in her side is Dylan's mom. Dylan and his mom are very, very close. She called Dylan a mama's boy. She said that she met his mother one time, and the whole entire time, the woman talked very poorly about one of Dylan's ex-girlfriends. And that rubbed Patia the wrong way. Well, what did you want her to say? You wanted her to say glowing things about the ex, to make you feel uncomfortable, to make you feel insecure. You want her to harp on the fact that he let the good one get away. Like what else? Like, I don't understand why that bothered you so much. Who the hell cares? So she tells us that Dylan's mom does not approve of their relationship because she wants her son to be with a younger woman of childbearing age. Okay, let's take a pause. Patia, you are a 58-year-old woman. You're damn near 60 years old. Why do you put up with this? Why do you put up with a man who hasn't made more of an effort to make you his wife? Because that's the only thing that you've been waiting for the past 12 years, for the past decade. You've been waiting for him to make you his wife. There have been proposals. He has proposed to her, given her a ring, but they've been on and off, and she's still stuck around. And the only reason why she's going to go live with him in Australia is because she thinks it's going to increase the chance of him proposing to her. She is waiting for a ring when she arrives in Australia. You complain about him being a mama's boy and the mother not liking you and the mother not approving of this relationship. It's not going to get any better, honey. Okay, if you happen to walk down the aisle, if he does propose to you and y'all do get married, it's not going to get any better. It's going to get even worse because now you're living there. You are on her territory. Her relationship with her son is not going to get any less. They're not going to become less close or more distant just because he has a wife now. If the relationship between him and his mom is the way that you describe it, to the point where you're calling him a mama's boy, it's not going to get any better. I don't understand how a woman like Patia, who is damn near 60 years old, is living this kind of life. I just don't get it. When I look at her story, it makes me feel sad that she's this way, it's like everything is centered around this damn proposal, marrying Dylan, being Dylan's wife. And she's 58 years old. I could understand if she was 20, like she was Chloe's age. I could understand because when you're young and dumb, you have all of these hopes and dreams and fantasies of how you want your life to be, of your Prince Charming coming to rescue you and marry you and living happily ever after because you're young and you don't know any better. When you are 58, almost 60 years old, you would think that she would have learned a couple of lessons that life has taught her. The world is big. Life can be long. There's more to it than just being somebody's damn wife. I understand, that you want the companionship, you want the love, the affection, you want that commitment with someone, but it doesn't have to be Dylan. It could be with someone who is serious about marrying you and making that life with you. Like the fact that she's harping on this one guy, chasing him across the world to be with him, hoping for this damn proposal. I think Patia thinks that she's still in her 30s and that we're still living in the 90s or something. Because the fact that she has been stripping for so long, if she wasn't a novelty act, okay, if she wasn't a novelty act and she was really doing this, seriously, like she was really stripping up into her 60s, like this she thinks that this is like her job, this is a legit job for her at that age. I feel like she sees herself as that Patia that first fell in love with Dylan 30 years ago or however many years ago, 20, I don't know, 12 years ago. I think she still thinks that she's living in that time, that she's stuck in some type of a time warp, because you would think that a woman of her age, if it's going to take a man 12 years to make you his wife, she would have been long gone. Long gone. It's just sad to me. It's just so sad. Anyway, so we see Dylan. Dylan tells us that in the past, Patia wasn't willing to come to Australia because she couldn't stand his mother. I don't know why Patia was signing up for this type of a lifestyle where you're going to be butting heads with your potential mother-in-law. And Dylan, these type of if he really is a mama's boy, he will always put his mother first. He will always listen to his mother because his mother will always be that soundboard for him. Because if Patia pisses him off and he goes to his mommy dearest, oh, Patia did this, Patia said that, the mother is always going to side with him. Okay. And when you're really pissed off at somebody, you want to go complain to someone that is going to be on your side and is going to say, yes, you're right. And that person was wrong. Why are you signing up for this, Patia? Like, why? So he tells us that, Patia has always had a problem with his mother. He also tells us that Patia is very materialistic. She likes to shop a lot. She likes to shop so much and buy so much stuff that she went into debt over this, over her shopping sprees or over her spending problem. She found herself in debt. He says that he wants to show her a simpler way of life. He says that he wants her to enjoy, being more down to earth and not needing so many material things. Basically, he's going to convince her, I can't afford your lifestyle, so I'm going to make you accept my poor lifestyle. She finally arrives in Australia, and when they meet at the airport, she runs to him and everything, hugs him, and then she starts giving him what she calls doggy kisses, which is basically licking his face like a damn dog. I thought that was utterly disgusting. And Dylan wasn't too thrilled about it either. She doused him in her saliva. So Dylan tells us that before he proposes to Patia, he wants to make sure that Patia is going to adapt to living in Tasmania, that she's going to, be able to adapt to his family, i.e., get along with my mother. And if these things don't happen, then there probably won't be a proposal. There probably won't be a proposal anyway. I wonder if Dylan is on this show for clout, if he's on this show to try to build his social media presence, which in turn is probably going to help him make money in whatever the hell he's doing. I don't know if he's like in his stripper career or his plumbing career or whatever. I'm wondering if he's on this show for clout because Dylan and Patia, to me, they don't mesh. Like, I don't see it. I don't get it. Maybe as time goes on and we see them more, I'll understand what's going on between them. But it's sort of giving like they're like another version of Sumit and Jenny, just like Luke and Madeline, or like another version of Jasmine and Gino. They're doing these, they have these characters that they show us all the time, the same type of people or the same characters being played by different roles or different people, and it's very, very annoying. Let's move on, y'all. This is going to be a struggle for me. Let's talk about Mano and Anthony. So Mano and Anthony, they're driving around. I was kind of impressed on how well Anthony was driving through. Where do they live? Marseille, or Marcellus, I don't know. Because I'm thinking that the roads in Europe are so different from the roads in America that it might be kind of difficult for an American to navigate, but he was doing pretty well. So anyway, they're driving around. I don't know where they're going. And Minot tells Anthony that she has a business plan. I forgot what the hell business she wants to start, but she wants to start some sort of business. Her friend put a bug in her ear about doing some kind of business. Her friend made it seem like it's very successful. You won't fail. Try it. So that's what she wants to do. So she tells Anthony this. As soon as Anthony hears this, he's very worried because he understands that when Minot gets to wanting to, start a business or whatever, she's going to start struggling with this work-life balance. She's going to be very focused on her business and making money, that she's going to neglect the family like it was when they were living in LA. So he's extremely worried about that. She promises him that no, I'm not going to do that because life in Europe is a little bit more laid back. I'm not going to be as hyper focused on my work as I was in LA. And if I see myself falling down that hole, I'm going to pull back. I promise you, it's not going to be as bad as it was in LA. Now, Anthony tells us that one of the reasons why they moved to France was because Mano wanted to be closer to her son, right? Because she was working so much in LA that she was missing out a lot on spending time with her child. So, her starting a business will definitely get in the way of that. And he tells us that the only way, because Mano has expressed to him that she wants to have the type of bond with Ben that he has with their son. And he tells us the only way for that to happen is that Mano has to spend a lot of one-on-one time with Ben. And how is she going to do that if she's planning on starting a business? The other issue that he has that he brought up to Mano was, where are we going to get the money for all of this? And she says, oh, don't worry about that because I'm going to try to get investors. So it really does seem like, the slippery slope. I feel like she is going to be falling back into her old habits. She is going to turn into a workaholic. And then she's going to blame him and tell him, well, the reason why I have to do this is because you're not making any money, because you're not willing to learn French fast enough, and you're not getting work, and you're not working, or you're not working enough, or you're not making enough. So I have to do this for our family. I feel like it's going to be a repeat of their life in LA. Mano just can't help herself. She really cannot help herself when it comes to being an entrepreneur and making money. The laid back, relaxed life of Europe is just not going to be for her. Not at all. Moving on to Chloe and Johnny. So Chloe tells us that Johnny asked her for them to stop sharing their location, which to me is a red flag. I don't think people should share locations if they don't want to, or what. I don't believe in that kind of stuff. But if that's what y'all have been doing, y'all have been sharing location for a while, and now one of y'all are saying, hey, let's stop sharing locations. I'm thinking that would be a red flag, but I don't know. So she agrees, and which was surprising to me. I was like, wow, Chloe agreed to not sharing location, because his reason was, let's stop sharing location to build our trust. Um, we don't have to rely on following each other and figure and knowing where the other one is all the time if we have trust within our relationship. So let's strengthen our trust, and let's stop sharing location. So she ends up agreeing. So the next time that we see Chloe, she's riding around with her friend. We don't know where the hell they're going, and her friend doesn't know either. And her and her friend are talking about it, and she's telling her friend, yeah, I think it's a great idea that we stop sharing our location. It's going to help with our trust issues, blah, 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 blah. This is really healthy for us, and I'm all for it. Little do we know that she's leading her friend to a location where she can spy on Johnny while he's working on the boat. So, because the friend was like, where the hell are we going? And the friend was driving. She didn't even tell her friend where they were going. So they get to the location, they get to her little spying spot, and she actually has to climb a tree in order to get the view that she wants of Johnny's boat. So she figures, well, if he doesn't want to share location, that's fine. I'm just going to follow him wherever he goes. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about that other than that's that's trouble written all over it. Because we know that he's going to end up finding out some way, somehow. He's going to end up finding out. Moving on, but then at that point, it's going to help the show get better, because right now, no. Moving on to Jenny and Sumit. Jenny and Sumit are sorting through their clothes in their room with the door closed, right? And Jenny's mother-in-law just comes barging in. She didn't even knock. She just comes barging in, and she tells them, hey, it's time for yoga because Jenny's gaining a lot of weight. We got to do yoga. And so Sumit has to translate what his mother said to Jenny. And instead of translating verbatim what she said, hey, let's go do yoga because I see that Jenny's gaining weight, he says, oh, my mom says we should go do yoga because she sees that we are gaining weight. Either way, Jenny was still pissed. So Jenny was like, well, I don't appreciate your mom calling me fat, telling me that I'm getting fat. And Sumit says, well, my mom, she's been very supportive of our relationship. So let's just appease her. Let's not make a big deal about the whole fat comment or the gaining weight comment. Let's just appease her, do what she says, because lately she's been really good to us, really sweet to us, and she's been very supportive. So from there on, y'all, they go and do poop yoga. They do laughing yoga. It was just a filler episode, and that was very much a filler scene. Let's move on to Luke and Madeline. Luke and Madeline, I have zero interest in these people. Zero interest because everything they do is so performative. I don't buy Luke and Madeline. Okay, they may be a real couple. He probably really wants to go live in Colombia with her, but these shenanigans, these issues that they're having, I don't buy it. It's all stupid and childish. So after Madeline had covered him in cake last week, she ends up going back to her apartment, and Luke has to get a taxi or an Uber, and he's also going to go back to the apartment, and he's like covered in cake. And I'm thinking, what a ride that must have been. I mean, he was probably like all really sticky, and I don't know if there's like mosquitoes and bugs flying around that he was attracting. It was a mess. So he tells us on his cab ride home, he tells us that the reason why I decided to tell Madeline about my bachelor party and the stripper being there was because I want to start our marriage on a good note. I want us to be open and honest with each other. And so I wanted to come clean with everything because I want to start off with a healthy, honest marriage. It's got nothing to do with the fact that she was going to end up seeing this anyway when the show played out, when the episode got broadcasted. It's got nothing to do with that, Luke. He gets to the apartment and he sees that she has already packed up a suitcase and left it outside. So he doesn't even bother to go inside to talk to her. He just takes his sad little suitcase, gets back into his Uber, and finds a hotel. The next day, he tells us that Madeline called him. And I was kind of like, why is Madeline calling him? She kicked him out. She covered him in cake. She cussed him out because he had a stripper at his bachelor party. Why would she be calling him? But that's what he said. He said Madeline called him and they had agreed to meet up. So he buys her flowers. He gets to her apartment and they sit and talk about the bachelor party. He tells her he had no idea that there was going to be a stripper there. And so she tells him, well, as soon as you saw her, you should have called me. Instead of just, enjoying yourself after you saw the stripper there, you should have called me and told me, hey, there's a stripper here. So they go back and forth about what happened at the party. He claims, look, I didn't touch her. Nothing happened. And she was like, what do you mean you didn't touch her? I know that she was dancing all up on you, which she was. I know that she was dancing all up on you. Of course, y'all were touching. Whether you were touching her with your hands or whatever, y'all were touching. And then she tells him, instead of you being concerned about touching her or not touching her, you should have been concerned about, hurting your girlfriend, hurting your fiance. You should have been thinking about me at the time instead of thinking about, oh, do I touch her? Do I not touch her? She refuses to budge on this. She's still very upset about the stripper being there. She doesn't want to back down. She doesn't want to get over it. And so he ends up walking away. I thought he was leaving because she told him, take your damn flowers with you. I thought he was leaving to go back to his hotel. But then in the very next scene, she's laying in the bed and he's in her room laying next to her or trying to lay next to her. And he wants to comfort her and talk to her. And she's just like, no, get the hell out. I'm like, what the hell? Why are you creeping into her bedroom? I thought you left when she told you when you were getting up to leave. Like, what the hell's going on here? But whatever. One thing that I do notice, I don't see any tears in Madeline's eyes. I see that she rubs them to make them very red, but I don't see any tears falling from her eyes. And so that's why I say that Madeline and Luke are very, very performative and fake to me. They're trying to make them the new Jasmine and Gino, and I'm not buying it. I don't care about their storyline. I don't care about anything that's going on with Madeline and Luke. I could care less. Anyway, whatever. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video if you like this content, subscribe to my channel, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.